You are not thinking too much. You are trying to survive something that hasn't even happened. And that is what makes overthinking so dangerous. It doesn't feel like self-destruction. It feels like protection, like preparation, like intelligence. Like if you just think a little longer, you might finally feel safe. But you won't, because overthinking does not end with clarity. It ends with exhaustion. And if you are someone whose mind never stops, then you already know the worst part. It follows you everywhere, into quiet rooms, into late nights, into simple decisions, into conversations that ended hours ago. And somehow, even when nothing is happening, your mind still acts like something is about to go wrong. Most people think overthinking is just a bad habit, a personality trait, something small. But psychology tells a much deeper story. Overthinking is often not about having too many thoughts. It is about having too little inner safety. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of people who can't stop overthinking, why your mind keeps looping, even when you want peace, why some people can let things go, while others mentally live the same moment 100 times, and why overthinking is often a hidden form of fear, control, and emotional survival. Because this is not just thinking. This is a mind that has learned not to rest. Let's begin. The first thing you need to understand is this: overthinking feels useful. That is why it is so hard to stop. If it felt obviously harmful, you would walk away from it, but it doesn't. It feels responsible. It feels smart. It feels like you are solving problems before they happen. What if this goes wrong? What if they meant something else? What if I missed a sign? What if I regret this later? So your brain keeps going. Not because it enjoys suffering, because it believes thinking is keeping you safe. But here's the interesting part. The brain is not always trying to find the truth. Sometimes it is just trying to reduce uncertainty. And those are not the same thing. A person who overthinks is often not searching for the best answer. They are searching for relief, for certainty, for control, for the moment their chest finally relaxes. But that moment rarely comes, because uncertainty cannot be solved completely. And the more you try to eliminate it, the more powerful it becomes. That's the trap. The second reason people can't stop overthinking is that the mind starts treating every possibility like a threat. This is where it gets darker. A healthy mind can say, maybe something will go wrong. An overthinking mind says, if I don't mentally prepare for everything, I'll be destroyed by it. That is a huge difference. Now every decision feels dangerous. Every text message feels loaded. Every silence feels suspicious. Every delay feels meaningful. And suddenly, your own imagination becomes a place you cannot escape. Because the overthinking mind does not only imagine possibilities, it emotionally enters them. It lives inside futures that have not happened. It suffers from scenes that do not exist, and the body reacts as if they are real. That is why overthinking is so exhausting. You are not just having thoughts. You are repeatedly putting your nervous system through experiences that only exist in your mind. And after a while, your body no longer knows how to feel calm, because your mind never gives it permission. The third reason is hidden fear. Many people think overthinking comes from intelligence. And yes, intelligent people do often think deeply. But overthinking is different. Deep thinking leads somewhere. Overthinking goes in circles. It repeats, it reopens, it replays, it drains. So what is underneath it? Very often, fear. Fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of being embarrassed. Fear of rejection. Fear of failure. Fear of loss. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of not being enough. And this is where it gets deeper. Sometimes overthinking is not your real problem. It is your mind's strategy for avoiding the real problem. Because if you keep thinking, you don't have to fully feel. If you keep analyzing, you don't have to sit with helplessness. If you keep searching for answers, you don't have to admit that some things are beyond your control. So the mind keeps moving. Fast, relentless, obsessive. Not because it is strong, because it is afraid of stillness. Stillness might reveal what is actually there. Pain, grief, uncertainty, loneliness, shame. And for many people, that emotional truth feels more threatening than the thoughts themselves. The fourth reason is the need for control. Overthinkers often believe one quiet lie: if I think hard enough, I can prevent pain. That belief becomes addictive because pain feels random, but thinking feels active. So the brain starts building the illusion that constant mental effort equals protection. Maybe if I replay the conversation enough, I'll find what I missed. Maybe if I analyze every outcome, I'll avoid failure. Maybe if I question every detail, I'll stay ahead. But life does not reward endless internal checking. It only steals your presence. While you are busy preparing for every possible future, you are missing the only moment that is actually real. Think about this for a moment. How much of your life have you actually lived? And how much of it have you mentally rehearsed? That question hurts, because many overthinkers are physically present, but psychologically absent. They are in the room, but not in the moment. They are eating, but mentally reviewing. They are resting, but internally bracing. They are with people, but trapped in private calculations. And this creates a strange kind of loneliness. Because even when life is quiet, their mind is not. The fifth reason people can't stop overthinking is that they do not trust themselves. This part matters a lot. At the center of many overthinking patterns is a broken relationship with your own judgment. You don't trust your first instinct. You don't trust your decisions. You don't trust your ability to handle consequences. So your mind keeps checking again and again and again, not because the answer is hidden, because confidence is missing. Because confidence is missing. People who trust themselves can make a choice and move. People who don't trust themselves keep reopening the case. That is why overthinking is often linked to self-doubt. Not low intelligence, not weakness, self-doubt. The sixth reason is that some people were trained by life to overthink. Maybe you grew up in chaos. Maybe people were unpredictable. Maybe love felt unstable. Maybe mistakes had emotional consequences. Maybe you were criticized too much. Maybe you learned that being alert was safer than being relaxed. So now your mind scans everything: tone, mood, timing, risk, possibility, danger. To other people, it looks like you think too much, but your nervous system may have learned this long ago. If I stop scanning, I will get hurt. And once that pattern is built, peace can feel unnatural. Silence can feel suspicious. Rest can feel irresponsible. That is why some people overthink even when life is finally calm, because the danger may be gone, but the pattern is still alive. And this is where the real insight begins. Overthinking is often a mind that is trying to do the job that safety was supposed to do. Read that again. It is the mind overworking because the heart does not feel secure. It is thought replacing trust, mental effort replacing grounding, analysis replacing emotional safety. That is why logic alone rarely stops overthinking. You cannot simply tell a frightened mind to relax. You have to show it slowly that not everything unknown is dangerous, that not every silence is rejection, that not every decision will ruin your life, that not every thought deserves to be believed. And most importantly, that your worth is not hanging by the thread of every possible outcome, because that is what overthinking really does. It turns life into a constant test. A test you can never fully pass. A test where every answer creates 3 more questions. A test where peace is always postponed. But healing begins the moment you see overthinking for what it is. Not wisdom, not preparation, not personality, but a tired mind trying too hard to protect a sensitive self. And once you see that, something changes. You stop hating yourself for thinking too much. You start understanding what your mind has been trying to do for you. And then, for the first time, you can respond with something stronger than more thoughts. You can respond with awareness, with compassion, with stillness, with trust. Because the goal is not to become someone who never thinks deeply. The goal is to become someone who no longer confuses fear with intelligence. So if you are one of those people who can't stop overthinking, you are not broken, you are not weak, you are not crazy. You may simply be carrying too much uncertainty with too little inner safety, And the deepest healing may begin when you stop asking your mind to solve everything and finally teach it that not everything needs to be solved to be survived. Because in the end, the loudest thoughts are not always the most important ones. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop chasing certainty and become calm enough to live without it.